Bill Simmons hosts the most downloaded sports podcast of all time, with a rotating crew of celebrities, athletes, media staples, and a slew of other friends and family members who always happen to be available. Check out the Bill Simmons podcast on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso. Rewrite your relationship with mornings. Make them brighter and exceptional moments for yourself. Savor every morning with Nespresso Virtuo, what coffee is meant to be. Discover Nespresso Virtuo machines at Nespresso.com.
This episode is brought to you by Hotwire. With Hotwire, staying in hotels you didn't think you could afford is the whole idea. Because why book a cheap hotel when you could book an expensive hotel for cheap? Find hot rate deals when you download the Hotwire app and book beyond your wildest means. All bookings final.
We're not recording yet, are we?
No problem. No, yeah, we probably are, yeah. Hi everyone, welcome to Wrighty's House on Ringer FC. Hope you're all safe and well. My good pal Alan Shearer is going to join us today to talk England getting to the semi-finals, a little bit about playing in an international tournament and England's opponents, Denmark. Joining me before Al drops in are Musa Okwonga and Ryan Hunn. Guys, what's happening, man?
Hello. Vibes, I'm very good actually. I had a very classy day yesterday. I went to a philosophical debate, then had some white wine and red wine into the evening.
I can't wait. Can I go to something like that, Moose? Will I be able to hang in that company?
Honestly, it's amazing because it's all like philosophers. So a lot of them they're like in a different world. They're not like into like stuff I'm into. So it was just a great vibe actually. It was so nice. We just sat and talked about like modernity and the future of civilization. And then we like had white wine.
Deep.
Yeah.
Wow. I watched the Grand Prix.
You watched the Grand Prix?
Yeah, it was good.
What time was that, Moose? Because it must have been in and around the time I was necking tequila, bro.
It was so it was 3 p.m. It's 3 p.m. it started, and then they had it was really nice. At 3 p.m. the debate. Then they had like a violin recital. At
wow, Moose.
Yeah, violin recital at like 6 p.m. and that finished at 7. And we just drank till 11. It was amazing.
I don't know what man's dealing with.
Were you actually on Bridgerton season 2? Is that what you were doing?
That's my energy. That's just my energy. That's how I operate.
I love that, Moose.
I even made a contribution from the floor, actually. I made a contribution.
Did you, Moose?
Did you get up and say, that's 3 straight Champions Leagues?
Did you know I was in Brazil in 2014?
Really? You saw Iniesta play live? I didn't tell you that. Oh my God.
I'm bleeping this out.
But you can't because you got shares in Pedri.
You do.
I remember since I'd done the analysis on him, and I watched it before I do it, I like to watch them over and over and over, see what more you can see with it, and it comes so naturally for him to do things. It's very hard to try to let people understand how difficult what he's doing is and how easy he's making it look at his age. It's quite frightening.
He's amazing.
To somebody of that age, it's just so good.
It's like
it's just so good.
You know, when people look at cats and they're like, "That's my granddad reincarnated." Right? Yeah. Pedri is like a cat who's someone's just like, "This is my great granddad," but he's like, "This cat has definitely been on this earth before," and like Pedri has definitely been on this footballing earth before. He just has.
I'll tell you what would be really exciting. I know that we're going to go a different way soon, but watching Paul Scholes in training, people saw what Paul Scholes done on a regular basis on a Saturday and in big games. But when you watch Paul Scholes in training, you feel privileged. And I think that Pedri's probably got that vibe about him. What they do in training, Paul Scholes, I have to put Gazza in there as well. You know who else I have to say was an unbelievable footballer that didn't get the credit was Darren Anderton.
Oh, wow. Yes, I loved Anderton.
Musa, Darren Anderton's quality. You know, when you're watching the top players, he passes, like I say, he passes the ball at the right side of the defenders. He passes it into your path. Always the right amount of pace on it. I'm talking about him and Paul Scholes in training was, you know what? I'm amongst the best here. I'm training with the best. Teddy Sheringham, the same. Alan Shearer, you have to mention now, of course. But someone that stands out, and this is what the point I'm trying to make about Pedri is that when you're fortunate enough to be training with a person like that every day, that's when you realize how unbelievable some of these footballers are.
One thing I want to say about Pedri is, you know those Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat games? I'm terrible at them, right? But like, what Pedri reminds me of, you know those people that do the combination attack? the average midfielder plays like one or two passes in succession. Yeah. Pedri puts together like combinations of 4 or 5 pass and move. Yeah. Yeah. And people don't understand that you have to unravel. Like an elite defense, you've got to do multiple. You have to hit with a combination attack to unravel it.
Yes.
Pedri is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because the first 2 passes won't work. And then it's like after 4 or 5, the whole thing just goes whoosh.
It's funny because I remember when we used to be in the England team hotels, especially when we used to have the week-long like games where you go abroad and you get a week-long. Paul Ince me and Paul Ince used to do the PlayStation, whatever it was, Tomb Raider, and remember Tekken?
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah.
Because Paul Ince, like you're talking about doing different combinations, Ince used to do the combinations where the guy grabs you, breaks this, breaks that, goes like that, and then goes and finishes you. And he used to use his hand doing it like when he's doing the cursor. Yeah. He'd do that to you. He'd do it to you. But like, we used to stay up till 3 and 4 in the morning playing Tomb Raider, going to the different places in Tomb Raider. Say, push that wall. Yeah, no, if we push that wall, then we must be there because we're stuck. We're stuck in this room. And we used to do that. And then we used to, some of the times, when they used to kind of have monsters, kind of werewolf men or something come out of anywhere. And we'd be doing it in the room, in the dark, petrified and screaming at 2 or 3 in the morning. I said, don't dive in the water. You're going to run out of air. We don't know how long it is. It used to be hilarious. But like, I've gone to another place because you're talking about like Street Fighter.
This episode is brought to you by Heineken. Heineken Summer Can means it's the summer of can. That means you can do things like go to pool parties and rock that swimsuit. Any swimsuit. Heineken loves a natural bod because Heineken is made from 100% natural ingredients with premium malt and their famous A yeast. They're so natural that their idea of a summer workout is taking in that sun poolside and sipping a crisp, ice-cold can of Heineken. Pick up a pack or get it delivered and put the can back into summer. That can be your 6-pack. Must be 21 years of age to purchase. Please drink responsibly.
I don't know how I feel right now because the excitement levels is more than 96 in respect of what's going on right now, much more. And I don't know if it's because we've already beaten Germany. I don't know if it's because we've got, for the first time in international football and England international tournaments, there's a black player is the prominent player in the team. It doesn't happen. It's normally Lineker or Shearer or Beckham or Owen. It's never. And I'm just trying to think like how this is going to pan out and where it goes, because we're going into a different territory, different vicinity, because this doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. This is what Raheem Sterling's doing now is something I dreamt of, to be a player, a prominent player, doing something for England. But like, he's the first black guy who's going to be doing what he's doing. And I can't wait to see the way that kind of pans out. We've never had this. No one's even noticed that.
Do you know, it's funny. I didn't clock it either because you almost don't want to notice it because you're almost trying to kind of like just watch the game and try and leave all that negative stuff at the door. Absolutely. And that involves racism. So you're not even looking for stuff like that. But what was striking against Ukraine as well, like he was in the best possible way, he was so aggressive. Like he really forced the issue, like so proactive. And I felt that was by far his best performance. I felt he just tore them apart. Like they obviously had a plan. Ukraine had a plan for England, but Sterling found room at will.
I'm talking about
against the back five.
Yeah. We're talking about how he explodes now in respect for in the psyche, in the consciousness, which could change everything again, because we're talking about people who are happy to see an English player doing what. Look at the great press he's getting now, the love he's getting now. And he looks like he's the one who's leading the charge. Obviously, Harry's started to score now, but I just feel that with him and the new prominence that he's going to have, and it's not a negative thing I'm talking about. It's just the fact that he's going to be the first one that's going to have this kind of adulation. Yeah. Because if we go on to win this and he's the main protagonist, it's going to take things to another level, and it's quite exciting because it's never happened before. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful thing what's happening right now. You know, we're coming together again. You know, everybody's come together. And the reason why I'm always so excited about tournaments is because no matter what happens, the English fans, when we do well, come together. You get the ones that they're almost scared for England to be successful because they don't want us to fail. They don't want us to fail. So they almost can't wait to be negative about, the teams are easy. Oh, Harry Kane's rubbish. Oh, this is not happening. Germany are a shit team this year. This is that. Oh, we got an easy draw. They want the negativity because I don't know how they're going to react if we could get through and win and be happy.
Dude, I just never knew that Marxism was so good at the back.
Listen,
going into it, our defense was what I was petrified of.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about Harry Maguire. You know, will people turn him? Will people get the other side of him? Is John Stones going to make a mistake? What's Jordan Pickford going to be like? Kyle Walker's like Superman. You know what I mean? Luke Shaw is gone again. Luke Shaw is the Luke Shaw that we saw at Southampton and went to Man United and had his time, done his thing, come back round, and now he's come out the other end and he is the left back that we thought was going to be the left back for the next 10 years when we first saw him. Easily. Now you look at Luke Shaw. So you're looking at Jordan Pickford, Kyle Walker, John Stones, Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw, and that back five with Calvin Phillips in front and Declan Rice is solid.
Yeah, I was looking at it thinking, like, how actually are we 4-0 up here? Because it's been quite comfortable, but actually, I didn't think England bossed the game.
But it's a Mourinho victory. It was Mourinho at Chelsea.
Yeah, it was. But I think it was quite well managed, and it was very it was a really weird thing. It's kind of like this is kind of like what Southgate domination looked like, I think, where if you look at the statistical breakdown, passes were fairly similar. Possession breakdown was fairly balanced. It wasn't like Spain against Switzerland, for example. I think that Ukraine are a better side than people will probably give them credit for post-game. I think this is something that like Denmark will pose a similar threat. I think Denmark will like go at England a little bit more.
I see it as for me, the 4-0, it felt more like a 2-0.
Yeah.
And I think what really happened was, the first thing is that Emma Hayes' article about two defensive midfielders is looking like one of the articles of the tournament, if not the article of the tournament, because that analysis was outstanding.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she just saw that so clearly. She saw that early. And Ukraine never, ever addressed the left flank. They never worked out what to do with Shaw and Sterling cutting it. They just had no answer for that, which is quite poignant because the way that Sterling cut in with Luke Shaw overlapping was what Memphis used to do.
Yeah.
Memphis was excelling until Luke Shaw got injured, and that would have changed. If he hadn't got injured, it would have changed both their careers. But the thing that was interesting to me about Ukraine was their failure to deal with the set piece, which makes that scoreline look bloated. And maybe that's because they had an injury to a key defender who went off in the first half. So I almost feel like I compared this to a Mourinho first era Chelsea victory because when I said that was the efficiency of the finishing, you know, those Mourinho teams, they prided themselves on having 6 chances and scoring 4, having 3 chances and scoring 2. That's just what they did. Or like Mourinho's Inter, very similar again, like 4-2-3-1, wide players working extremely hard and then just killing you on the break or against the deep lying. And this felt like that. Does that make sense? Very much a throwback. Yeah.
But what I like about it is how ruthless we did take them to pieces when we did start get going. Like for instance, the Luke Shaw free kick for Harry Maguire was on a sixpence. It was bang on. You know, when he cut inside like Raheem Sterling's pass, because I always worry about. But, you know, Raheem Sterling coming too deep when Luke Shaw's coming up, and then they just kind of like get stuck, both of them there with defenders all that side. And you think, well, someone's got to move, something's got to happen. Raheem, get out of that space so as this can happen, because there's no space for it to happen. And when it did finally happen, it was because Luke Shaw came late, and then he came and he stopped in that area where Raheem Sterling wants to run with the ball, and then Luke Shaw has to vacate the area, then the space opens, and the defender has to try and go with Luke Shaw down to the right. And then that's when Raheem Sterling got into that space and passed one of the passes of the tournament and for Harry Kane's finish, which was brilliant. People think, but he's 2 yards out and he had to, you know what I mean? He scooped that on purpose. And You can see that his luck has changed because it hit the goalkeeper on the chest and still went in. I just found our ruthlessness, whatever Ukraine were doing and whoever was missing in section of defense is what hopefully will get us by now. We're clinical. We're punishing teams when we get into that kind of, if we get the free kick, you're going to have a problem because if Harry Maguire stays on side and Luke Shaw's putting them in like that, we will score that way. You know, if you do not get tight enough on someone like Luke Shaw's runs, Raheem Sterling could come in and show that he could do that number 10 stuff and pass the ball into a Harry Kane who's in the right effing place, in and around the box, so as he can run onto those things and finish those chances. I feel that we're going to a clinical place now. Yeah. Everybody's clicked into clinical mode, whatever it's going to take, because that's what it's going to be.
Yes,
we're going to get to a stage, aren't we, where it's going to be tight and it's going to be a moment that changes it. Bang, 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 half a chance, goal.
Yeah, I mean, a 4-0 win on 1.98 XG is pretty tasty.
Supreme efficiency. Yeah, I love it.
You just look at the way he's used Sancho, the way he's kind of... Grealish has been a success. Saka's been a success. Sancho, I was really pleased for him the other day because I'm not sure anybody's gone into a tournament where during the tournament you've signed for arguably one of the biggest clubs in the world. You've not played yet. There's clamoring for why hasn't he played? He's 16 goals, 18 assists. I was one of them. And to have the trust and the faith in him, because you say, yeah, he's training well, he's doing stuff, bring him in at this stage of the tournament for him to have to do the business. And he kind of did the business. And everybody he's called on has done the business, even with under scrutiny of who's Gareth picking now. Now people have stopped that because he has done something that I don't think I've seen any England manager do as well. And that is the harmony with every single one of the players. All of them know that my time could be next. And they've got to be ready. Yeah. They've got to be ready because you look at, like Calvert-Lewin was totally out of it the other day. I still think he's got a part to play. Right. Massive part to play. Reece James still has a massive part to play. And when you look at the way he's managing this squad and the way they're playing, it's magnificent for a manager with the experience that Gareth had going into international management, only under 21 and in Middlesbrough and stuff like that. He's doing an unbelievable thing here.
Yeah, the squad management's been impeccable. You can't fault it. You can't fault it.
Amazing.
Like, I wrote a thing on Twitter after the game being like, just pulling up a tweet that I wrote after the Germany game about the small tweaks per like each game.
Yeah, and
I was like, it was applicable again for the Ukraine game. The only time where it's kind of maybe got a little bit like was the last 15, 20 minutes of the Scotland game where I thought Sancho should have been introduced.
So yeah,
but he knew full well he was getting out of the group. He had faith that that England were gonna come top of the group, and we said earlier in the tournament he might be holding Sancho back for later in the tournament. Quarterfinal, he starts for the first time. So I think, like you say, the squad management. There was one thing actually at full time. He grabbed Jack Grealish and was in his ear for ages, Southgate. And I was just like, he's telling him he's going to play in the next game. And he's telling him why he didn't introduce him in that game.
I love that.
Do you know what I mean? You can just tell, when you're just like, I know exactly.
Yeah, but what was I didn't see it. What was Jack's vibe? What was Jack's vibe?
Nothing really. He just like, they're all shaking hands and basically like Southgate was just there and he was just like, he was there kind of like talking in his ear for a little bit. It wasn't gnarly or anything, but it just looked to me as if it's been like, I didn't bring you on today. I know you're disappointed. You're going to play the next game. Do you know what I mean? Because he has the plan for the next one. Like he has the plan. Already has in his head. He's
going to. He must have said something to that effect of, "You have got a big part to play in the next game. Don't worry."
Just remember the response when Trippier gets fielded at left back in the first game.
I know.
And the lesson I've learned. I think I don't know if I said this to you, Ryan. It was in relation to Stadio, but I was like, my whole thing is like my attitude towards team sheets is like when I see a new United kit. Especially an away kit. I'm going to wait to see what it looks like when it's out there. And I will always trust the designer because the designer does that for a living. And what looks a bit ridiculous against the strip lighting will look great on the field. And I think when you see lineups now, I'm like, I have faith in it. My default is I've got faith in that team. That manager knows what that manager's doing, generally, and also in relation to Southgate, because his defensive tweaks have been incredible. Shaw, Trippier, Reece James, Kyle Walker, like that's like, that is advanced level, the changes that he's done there, the centre-back changes, because it's forcing the opposition to think differently. And like one thing quick with Jadon Sancho, didn't actually have the most effervescent game against Ukraine. But in terms of him drawing players away, in terms of him like drawing away and occupying the right, so you go down the left and almost just his presence weakening because Ukraine know what he can do one-on-one.
Yeah.
So instinctively they're clamping on him and that just allows some kind of bounty.
So England got Denmark. Denmark are amazing. Like maybe we should just give them props very quickly because their journey has been amazing.
Can I say with them, Rai, is that yes, you know, the narrative was about Christian Eriksen, and that's fine because, like, God, what we watched and we spoke about it is horrific to watch. But that team and the way that team has been steadily constructed from ages ago. You heard the manager Hyde saying things like, when I got in 2016 and I looked at the pipeline and what I had, I knew I had a pretty solid outfit here. And, with them making sure that they can get those young players, like I mentioned on the show, I mentioned Christian Eriksen going to Ajax at 18. You got Andreas Christensen going to Chelsea at 16. They wanted to get the top end players at bigger clubs at a younger age rather than getting them there at 23 and 25s. 17, Højbjerg went to Bayern Munich and Damsgaard going to Sampdoria at 19. Getting them at those big clubs in big leagues, playing in big tournaments earlier. They are playing a real high-end standard of football. They've got so much quality. Looking at Højbjerg playing further forward in a kind of a 10, doing creative stuff with Damsgaard, and then Dolberg up there doing unbelievable stuff. That Delaney,
Thomas, my boy.
Delaney. The only thing, I think the manager mentioned that Kjaer at the back is probably the only one that may not make the next tournament. But he says, but what I've got now and what's coming through with the Denmark side is more than enough. You look at Dolberg, he's starting to look like the finished article in how his chest is up, he's ready to go. I watched him the other day, I've done a kind of like a little analysis on him. He's kind of got everything. Yeah. He's kind of got everything.
Problem, man. When his ceiling is very, very high. I think
he's gone under the radar because he had a couple of indifferent years, but he's very, very good. Yeah. The fact they've absorbed the loss of Eriksen, and they've come out, funny enough, like that midfield, like Højbjerg, Delaney midfield. It reminds me of the one like Witsel and Chan for Dortmund, like in terms of it just being solid and allowing everyone to just play off them as a platform. They're an extremely good side. And so people need to be a little bit more respectful of what they're capable of doing rather than thinking that they're just going on pure adrenaline of what happened to arguably one of their greatest players ever. You know what I mean? But like you said, Moose, they absorbed that. And then all of a sudden, Damsgaard's in our face now. Listen, serious. That looks frightening for me. I'm loving it. Okay, guys, let's take a break and, because we need to get my man Alan Shearer on.
This episode is brought to you by 3M. 3M has always been driven to improve lives with science and innovation. It's this forward-thinking mindset that led 3M to invent household items you've come to know and love, like Post-it notes and command hooks. But 3M believes they have a responsibility to use their science to improve lives in even more ways. That's why they're responding to the COVID-19 crisis by working on solutions for some of today's biggest challenges. As a leading provider of personal protective equipment, 3M is producing critical products for healthcare workers and first responders, and donating to local and humanitarian aid partners around the globe. They're also making more respirators than ever before, with plants working around the clock, producing more than 95 million respirators per month in the U.S., helping those on the front lines continue the fight. 3M Science, applied to life. Learn more about how 3M is helping the world respond to the COVID-19 pandemic at 3m.com/COVID.
Hi, boys.
Oh, they've gone all weird and funny. Oh, this is what I said the other day, Al. It was like, because even with when you talk about 66, you talk about 90, you talk about 96, you talk about anything where in the tournaments or whatever we're doing, English people have any kind of like, oh my God, this is so exciting. People literally just shoot us down. Oh, it's because they're shit. It's because they're this. It's because Germany was shit. It's because we had an easy round. This is what I'm saying now. It's so annoying.
Well, Germany were perhaps shit because England made them look shit, or Ukraine was shit because England made them look shit. I mean, you can only beat what's in front of you, and you can only deal the hand that's been thrown at you. And England have played 5 games at Wembley, about to play their 6, is it? Or something like that. I can't remember. 6 out of 7 if they get all the way to the final. So no goals conceded. That's impressive, whatever way you want to look about it.
You have to be happy with what's going on, Moose. This is the point I was going to say, right? You have to be, at some stage, English fans have to be able to say, yeah, man, this is a good time for us. Yes, you see us get a bit rowdy, but it's quite cool. Which fans don't? But like this, I said it like a week ago or something, that I feel something, Al. It's like when you came on, Al, you feel something. I feel something.
Yeah, it's great. It's great, man. It's just building up nicely, and England are just getting into the groove, aren't they? It's just great to be a small part of, be a fan for it, because we've been on the other side, right?
Yeah.
We've been a player, and you're locked away in a hotel, and I'm not sure that you actually know what the nation are up to or what's going on and how special the feeling is when you're locked away. But to be on the other side of it and be a fan now, I mean, we were like it 3 years ago in Russia when we got to the semi-final, and you go to the games, you get involved, and you have a beer afterwards, and you can get pissed with your mates, and it's just brilliant to be on the
see the lock away stuff out, because I remember we done the tournoi, which that was kind of like leading into what it might have been like if we got to the World Cup with the France stuff, and obviously we did in the end, but when you're locked away, Al, especially when you were locked away in '96 and in England, you knew about it then, though, didn't you, Al?
Well, we didn't. Not until maybe after the Holland game or the Spain game, the quarter-final. It wasn't until then we thought, Jesus Christ, there's something going on here. This is pretty special, because we went out of the hotel one afternoon into Burnham, where Burnham Beach's hotel was, and we went for a walk and did whatever, just had a walk around, and it was like, oh my God, the reaction from the public was, okay, now this is unbelievable. What a feeling this is. And I just hope, I hope that the England players and Gareth Southgate are able to enjoy this, because I'm not quite sure you can until it's all finished. But they're giving us something pretty special to cling on to at the minute. And isn't this what everyone wanted after what's gone on the last 18 months? This is what we asked for before the tournament started, isn't it? Is that, come on, lads, give us something to get happy about, to be merry about. And Jesus, they're doing it, and they're doing it in very, very good style.
As a player, when you start getting through to the latter stages of the tournament, is that in the plan from the beginning? So say 96, prime example, you look at the tournament as a whole and you're like, we're expecting to get to the semi-final, because we've chatted about this before, about some decisions that Southgate's made. He looks absolutely fully entrusted in the plan that he has and confident in it. Did you guys have a similar thing?
I think certainly from 96, I think you have a feeling as a player, you know how good your squad is, whether you really believe that you can go far and deep into the tournament. That feeling was without doubt very special. 96, yes, we thought we could win it, because when you look at that squad and the leaders and players that we had. 98, absolutely going into the World Cup with Glenn Hoddle as our manager, and with the players that we had. Yes, 2000, I'm not so sure that was the case. I'm almost certain that Gareth and his team, before ball was kicked, really, truly, honestly believed that they could win this tournament. Why wouldn't they? Because this is a manager that got us to a World Cup semi-final. Now, you might say again, all right, well, you had the favourable side of the draw. Who cares? It doesn't. No one. If England go and win this tournament, and in 10 and 20 years' time, no one will give a shit what side of the draw England were on, or this, that, and the other. So I really believe that Gareth and his team felt that they could go deep into this tournament and win it. Because even if you looked at the side of the draw, the expectancy was we're going to play France or Portugal or Germany, the group of death, so they called it. Well, not one team from the group of death reached the quarterfinals. So you just never know. I mean, and I for one, I thought if England did have a weak point, it was going to be defensively. Jesus, I mean, we haven't conceded a goal yet.
What about Jordan Pickford, Al? Jesus Christ, he's gone to another level.
different player in an England shirt. I mean, you see this guy in the Premier League, and we see him every week, right? He gets excitable. He makes everything better than it should be, I think. But in an England shirt, you haven't seen that at all, and you don't see that. I mean, he was magnificent in Russia 3 years ago, and everything he's had to do in this tournament, he's done with aplomb. I mean, I'm just trying to think. Maybe one mistake,
when he ran out
slight
the other day.
error
No,
when he
that's
ran
what I
out
think,
the other day.
Yeah.
Other than that, his form has been perfect.
Actually, I was going to say, how about Declan Rice? Only because it's like Calvin Phillips has had like a lot of props, right? A lot of respect. It's almost like, oh, Calvin Phillips, he's so underrated, but actually we've heard loads about him. But Declan Rice is actually weirdly going a little bit under the radar now.
Do you know what? I think he's having fun.
Yeah,
I think he's just having a great. He's just having a great time.
Did you see when he got injured now? See when he got injured trying to get over.
And I think that's great to see, because it's not very often, because they're under so much scrutiny, these players and the manager, that it's when you face the media, sometimes it's like, oh, we've got to do this and we've got to be sensible. We have to not perhaps say that. But I think with this England team, and particularly with Declan, whenever I see him interview, I just think he's having a bloody good time, and I think that's amazing to see. But you can actually go through. You've mentioned Pickford, righty? So you've mentioned Declan Rice. If you go through the entire squad, you can say Trippier, Kyle Walker, Harry Maguire, John Stones, Luke Shaw. My God, his performances. I mean, Harry Kane now, Raheem Sterling. I mean, where do you stop Jack Grealish when he's been asked to do the job? Sancho came in. It's like Saka. I mean, my God, where do you stop now? It's like every single player, I think, is playing their part.
You know what you said about with Harry Kane, because like as strikers as well, people were worried about, look how he's playing. What's wrong? Is he fit? Is the move? Is he going to get the move? Everything was going on before. And, people were questioning Harry Kane. And as strikers, that you can't question a player of that caliber. Al, when you was coming into 96, remember it? It was how many... The amount of time you had, how many games was it, Al? The England games, was it like over a year?
I think it was 13 games, right? So it was nearly 2 years.
Nearly 2 years, Al. And for Alan Shearer not to score like that, but like Venner said to you, you're playing, Al. But still, coming into that tournament, Al, and under that pressure to score, Al, and then what were you thinking? Because you fucking scored in literally every game. What happened?
I scored the first game. And that's it. It's like, oh, did you
feel that when you went back to the hotel that night?
I mean, I've it's when you know what it is, right? You know how it is, and every goal scorer knows what it is. It's like when you score. I can't describe the feeling when you score a goal. It's like, my God, the roof lifts off. It's like all of a sudden you're a different player. You're a different person. You feel 10 foot tall. You get an extra yard of pace from somewhere. Where that comes from, I haven't got a fucking clue, but it just happens. You just feel, although I was scoring for Blackburn leading up to the tournament, I was under huge pressure, and I was really interested to see how Gareth Southgate handled the situation with Harry Kane. And I think he handled it almost identically to how Terry Venables, brilliant, how great Terry was at man management, because that's the best piece of man management I've ever had in my career, in terms of making me feel special, making me feel as if I've got to run through a brick wall for this guy, because he's backed me and he's put his neck on the line, his job's on the line if I don't actually go out and score goals. And I just thought, wow, for him to do that for me was just amazing. So I had to go out and perform. And Gareth, interestingly enough, when Harry had gone 2 or 3 games without scoring, what did Gareth say? Harry will be playing. He will be starting. He's my captain. And the belief that would have given Harry going into the Germany game. And then, even in the Germany game, I was looking at him in the first half and thinking, he looks a little bit leggy. He's not getting into right positions. That chance he had just before half time where he
should have took it first time out.
Could have and should have taken it first time. then all of a sudden, when the goal goes in, I don't know how long it was to go for 15 or 20 minutes. I watched him, and it's a different. You're seeing a different player. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the feeling you get, and I said to the guys afterwards, I said, do not be surprised if he is up and running now and in contention to be the top scorer. Absolutely. And they looked at me as if I had two heads. He's got three. He's got three now. Hey, who would back again? I wouldn't back against him getting another couple on Wednesday night.
Yeah, quite similar to the Luis Enrique Alvaro Morata situation, I think. Obviously, different profile or reputation, but when a lot of people, I mean, whenever Morata and Tino Werner, for example, I don't think I've seen two strikers in the past year who have had more shit online whenever they're on a football pitch. Mm-hmm. And I think, Musa, you said that point, didn't you, when Luis Enrique was asked in a press conference about the lineup for the next game, and he just said Alvaro Morata plus 10.
Amazing. And
then I think it was before the Croatia game, right, when Morata scored.
That's right, yeah.
You could do that with strikers.
That was in extra time, wasn't it? The Morata goal, I think, against Croatia, where he took it at the far post and brought it back inside and smashed it.
Arguably, the
smashed it in the top of the net. Yeah, absolutely, and it's amazing how it happens like that. So it's just it is. I can't explain it. It's just weird when you get one goal after a barren run. You just feel 10 foot tall and you're away and firing, and that's the life of a forward, and that's why I think you, Righty, myself, Gary Lineker, all these guys who have been in that position, you know how it feels. Can just say, just relax a bit, get off his back a bit. You don't turn into a bad player over a month. I mean, he just won the Golden Boot and the most assists. And all of a sudden, he hasn't scored for 3 goals. And he's this shit player, and people are calling for our captain to be dropped. It doesn't work like that, man.
I mean, what I want to say as well, why are we so surprised every tournament that it takes players a couple of games to catch fire? Because you look like Baggio at World Cup 94, Zidane 06. Those players actually had a quiet start. I mean, Zidane got sent off in, the 98 World Cup against Saudis. Why does it, I suppose, why does it constantly surprise us? It takes a while to click in a tournament. What is the thing that's different from an international tournament to like regular season? What is it that makes you click? Is it like a good night's sleep? Is it like a good training session? What's the turning point for you that gets you locked in?
I think it's just feeling involved. It's getting stuck into the tournament. You got a couple of good results. People in the main online probably negative, and
what
then
about fear,
you just feel good of yourself, and you feel involved in the tournament. Yeah, fear. Yeah, I mean, there's a bit of apprehension. Don't forget, there's a lot of these guys in this squad who are youngsters who have not sampled this before. I mean, if you go back a year when the tournament should have been played, we wouldn't have had Saka, we wouldn't have had Phillips. Who else? There's someone else. So. If there's one positive thing to come out of COVID, it's another 12-month experience for all these youngsters playing football, and then it's just getting involved, and it's getting a feel of the tournament. And I mean, we were the same in '96. We played Switzerland in the first game. We were average. We drew 1-1 at Wembley, and then we played Scotland, and there was 1 minute of that Scotland game where it happened for us. I scored the first goal, and then they had a penalty. They missed the penalty. A minute later, Gaza scores that goal, 2-0. And then all of a sudden, you go, hey, we're off and running. And then we beat Holland 4 in the next game. So it's just feeling your way into the tournament. You don't want to hit top gear in that first game. You just want to get going, and then all of a sudden the momentum carries on. And I'm pretty sure everyone's sick of the word momentum, because that's what everyone says over the last month. But it's true. It's true. That's exactly what happened.
The thing is that I was going to say to Al, because
you're missing me, Righty.
I'm missing I do miss. You're not as happy. You know what? It's really weird, Al, because it's weird. You know what, Al? It's like the stadium. I think that all of them so far, when you go to the stadium, man, are you going to go to the game on Wednesday, Al?
Yeah, we're there on Wednesday. We're going to be actually next. There's a little podium next to the main podium where where you and we do our work.
So
I'm going to be looking over at you. I'm going to be shouting abuse at you and everything.
I'm just glad. 60,000. If I'm a player now, getting ready for that with the year we've had, with the way that we've progressed in the tournament, knowing that there's 60,000 there, there's people from everywhere just asking. They want to be there because they want to be there for the semi-final. They're going to do the same for the final. Fingers crossed if that happens.
Yeah.
But the main thing is that the people in there That's what I miss more than anything else. You know, when you do it in the studio, it's fine and this and that, you still get the vibe, but you don't get nothing like when you're in the stadium.
I tell you what, right? We did the Germany game there, and there was only 40,000 in, but it felt like there was 140,000 in. The atmosphere that night was unbelievable. So there's going to be another 20,000 on top of that. So 60,000 are going to be there, and it's going to be absolutely rocking. And I'm going to be jealous. I think I'll just want to be out there and playing again. You know, when you get that atmosphere.
Yeah.
Like, I want the old Umbro Speciales on again. I want them back on.
Nice one. Listen, Al.
I'll leave you to it, boys. Appreciate your time. Thank you. And I'll see you on Wednesday.
Make sure let me see where you are, Al, because I love you.
Thanks for
I'll be
coming in.
heckling you. I love you. See you soon.
Wait, Al. How do you think it's going to go? I've got to ask you how it's going to go. What do you think?
Yeah, they're a decent team. Understandably so. In their first 2 games and in the qualifying games, they struggled. Any team in the world would have struggled with what they had to go through in terms of Christian Eriksen. But they've got something about them, and they've got some really good players. They've got a really good attitude about them, which I enjoy. No one really saw them or picked them to get this far. I mean, there's never a free hit in football, but England are at Wembley. Pressure's going to be on them, so they're dangerous, man. I don't think we can underestimate them. And I'm going to go for a tricky 1-0 victory to England.
I'm going to go 2-1 now. I think I might give him some. In fact, no, not giving him any goals. I'm going to go 2-0. I'm going to go 2-0. But Al, I'll speak to you soon. I'll see you on Wednesday, Al.
Look forward to it. Thanks, man. See you then. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Nice,
it's a pleasure.
Cheers.
Take care.
All the best.
You.
Bye-bye. Bye.
So, guys, thanks very much. Thanks for coming to the Yard. Moose, thanks for coming to the Yard.